Forget the anaconda. Forget the Black Caiman. There is a 50-ton shadow in the Amazon right now, and it is starving. This is not a simulation of survival. This is a simulation of an execution. The Amazon River is known as the most ruthless ecosystem on the planet. But today, the rules have changed. We have introduced a biological anomaly into these muddy waters. The Megalodon, a 50-ton, 60-foot-long apex predator, torn from the endless depths of the prehistoric ocean and dropped into a shallow, claustrophobic death trap. How does it survive the fresh water? Simple. Like the modern bull shark, our Megalodon possesses specialized kidneys and glands, allowing it to retain salt and adapt to the river. But survival is not its problem. Space is its problem. In the open ocean, the Megalodon was a god of the abyss. Here, it is a titan trapped in a bathtub. The water is murky, hot, and suffocating. The narrow riverbanks press against its massive pectoral fins. Every turn is a struggle. Every movement churns the mud, blinding the great hunter. This claustrophobia triggers something primal. It triggers blind rage. To sustain its massive metabolism in this stressful environment, the Megalodon needs thousands of pounds of meat every single day. And in this cramped river, there is nowhere for the prey to hide. The massacre is about to begin. To maintain its body temperature and fuel a 50-ton frame in water that is nearly 90 degrees. The Megalodon's metabolism is redlining. It is burning thousands of calories just trying to push water through its gills in this stagnant swamp. The hunger is absolute. It requires meat immediately. Ahead in the murky currents, a pod of Amazon river dolphins, the famous Pink Dolphins, are hunting for small fish. They are highly intelligent and incredibly agile. But they have evolved to evade anacondas and caimans, not a prehistoric submarine. The dolphins sense a massive displacement of water, a violent current pulling them backward into the dark. Before they can even echolocate the source of the anomaly, the water erupts. A jaw spanning 9 feet wide, lined with serrated teeth the size of human hands, closes around the center of the pod. There is no dramatic fight. There is only physics. 40,000 pounds of pressure per square inch meets soft tissue and hollow bone. The dolphins are pulverized instantly, crushed into a violent red mist that stains the brown river. One bite, and the apex predators of this river stretch are simply deleted from the food chain. But the Amazon operates on a brutal economy of scale. Nothing is wasted. The massive cloud of blood spreading through the water acts as a chemical alarm bell. Within seconds, the surface begins to boil. A swarm of red-bellied piranhas, numbering in the tens of thousands, descends upon the kill zone in a mindless frenzy. After devouring the scraps, the swarm turns its attention to the giant. They engulf the Megalodon, millions of razor-sharp teeth gnawing frantically at the titan's flanks. In a science fiction movie, the piranhas would strip the giant to the bone. But biology dictates a different reality. The Megalodon is armored in dermal denticles. Its skin is literally composed of microscopic teeth overlapping like organic chainmail. The piranhas violently snap their jaws, only to shatter their own teeth against the shark's impenetrable armor. The great predator does not even flinch. It does not feel them. It simply thrusts its massive tail, propelling its 50-ton body forward, and casually crushes hundreds of the frenzied fish against the shallow riverbed. The appetizer is over, but the chemical trail of blood has drifted further downriver. It has reached the deepest, darkest trench of the mud. And down there, something ancient is uncoiling. A predator that relies on silence and absolute constriction. The blood from the surface has drifted down into the darkest, most stagnant trenches of the riverbed. Down here, sunlight does not exist. Visibility is zero. The Megalodon is navigating purely by the electromagnetic sensors in its snout. The ampullae of Lorenzini. It senses a massive, cold-blooded biological signature lurking in the sunken roots of a mahogany tree. A green anaconda, but not a normal one. This is an apex specimen, 40 feet of pure muscle, tests thicker than an oil drum. It has ruled this dark trench for decades, killing jaguars and caimans with absolute silence. The snake does not comprehend what is approaching. It only knows that a massive heat source has invaded its territory. As the 50-ton shark glides past the roots, the anaconda strikes. With terrifying speed, the giant serpent coils around the Megalodon's midsection. sliding upwards to wrap its thickest muscle bands around the shark's gills and pectoral fins. This is the anaconda's signature execution method: constriction. Every time the prey exhales, the snake tightens, shutting down blood flow and crushing the respiratory system. For a terrifying moment, the megalodon halts. It is already starving for oxygen in this murky water, and now, a living vice grip is sealing its gills shut. The pressure is immense. The anaconda is squeezing with enough force to shatter the ribs of a rhinoceros. But the anaconda makes a fatal miscalculation. The megalodon has no ribs. Its skeleton is made of highly flexible cartilage, and its sheer muscle mass is beyond anything the serpent has ever encountered. The shark does not suffocate. It thrashes. A violent, explosive contortion of its 50-ton body sends a shockwave through the mud. The anaconda is instantly stretched beyond its physical limits. Muscle fibers tear. Vertebrae snap under the overwhelming torque. The megalodon violently twists its head, catching the lower half of the giant serpent in its jaws. 40,000 pounds of pressure. The anaconda is severed in two like a piece of wet paper. The front half of the snake sinks into the mud, still twitching. While the ocean god swallows the rest whole, the silent assassin of the Amazon has been eradicated. But the violent thrashing has sent massive seismic vibrations down the river. The noise has awakened something much larger. The true king of the swamp is coming to defend its throne. The violent thrashing and the massive release of blood have awakened the undisputed king of the Amazon, a Black Caiman. But this is no ordinary reptile. This is an ancient male, over 25 feet long, weighing over 2,000 pounds. Its back is heavily armored with thick, bony plates called osteoderms. It is, for all practical purposes, a living dinosaur. The caiman does not flee from the scent of blood. It is fiercely territorial and highly aggressive. It senses the massive intruder thrashing in its domain and charges through the murky water. With a terrifying lunge, the caiman strikes first. Its massive jaws slam shut on the megalodon's right pectoral fin. A Black Caiman possesses a devastating bite force of over 4,000 pounds per square inch. It is a bite designed to crush turtle shells and snap the spines of jaguars. The thick, conical teeth sink deep into the shark's dense cartilage. For the first time since entering this freshwater hell, the megalodon feels pain. Dark blood begins to leak from the massive fin. The caiman instinctively attempts a death roll, a horrific spinning maneuver meant to tear the limb from its socket. But it fails. You cannot death roll a 50-ton mountain of solid muscle. The physics simply do not compute. The caiman is anchored to a beast it cannot move. And then, the ocean titan reacts. The megalodon pivots its massive head. Its pitch-black eyes roll back into its skull, exposing the thick white sclera to protect them from the impact. The colossal jaws unhinge, expanding to a width of 9 feet. The Black Caiman is heavily armored, an evolutionary fortress built to withstand the bites of any terrestrial predator. But it was never built to withstand naval artillery. 40,000 pounds of pressure per square inch squinch. The megalodon's bite is not an attack. It is an industrial guillotine. 5 rows of triangular serrated teeth, each the size of a large human hand, drive into the reptile. The caiman's osteoderms do not just break, they pulverize. The thick bone shatters like cheap glass under the overwhelming mechanical force. There is a sickening crunch that echoes audibly through the muddy water. The shark's jaws completely encapsulate the torso of the giant reptile. The serrated teeth saw through meat, armor, and spine in a fraction of a second. In one single, devastating bite, the king of the swamp is cut entirely in half. The river surface erupts in a massive geyser of dark red. The megalodon casually swallows the massive chunk of armored meat. The ocean titan has faced the deadliest champions of the jungle and annihilated them all. It has won the biological tournament. It is the undisputed apex predator of the Amazon. But the simulation is not over. The megalodon has won every battle, but it is losing the war. Biology is a game of energy, and the river is a brutal accountant. A 50-ton shark in the shallow Amazon is a massive engine running at redline in a sauna. The murky water is low in oxygen and thick with sediment, clogging the giant's massive gills. To move that much mass in such tight spaces, the megalodon's body temperature begins to skyrocket. It is literally cooking itself from the inside out. The immense weight, which is supported by the buoyancy of the deep ocean, is now a crushing burden in these shallow banks. As the tide recedes, the Titan finds itself trapped on a massive mudflat. 50 tons of prehistoric muscle pressing down on its own internal organs. The gills stop moving. The thermal stress becomes unbearable. The undisputed king of the ocean, the victor of every bloody encounter in this river, dies alone on a bank of mud. Not by the bite of a caiman or the squeeze of a snake, but by the very environment it tried to conquer. The Amazon does not need a bite force of 40,000 psi to win. It only needs patience. In the end, the river always wins. If you enjoyed this biological massacre, hit the like button and subscribe to Animal Ranking Hub. We are on a mission to rank every monster in history, and we want you in the pack. Who should we drop into the Amazon next? A T-Rex? Or maybe a pod of orcas? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to see why the Titanoboa was the most dangerous snake to ever exist, click the video on the screen right now. Until next time, stay hungry.